My son stole his late mom's ring to propose. I took it back. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. To say I was furious doesn't even scratch the surface. I'm a 46-year-old dad with 2 kids, Ryan, 23, and Emily, 16. Ryan was a solid kid all through his childhood, which is why what he pulled blindsided me. Emily's my younger one. When my wife died from COVID almost 2 years ago, she already had a will drawn up. She'd been immunocompromised for about a decade because of a pre-existing condition, so she planned ahead in case the worst happened. In that will, she split what she owned between the kids. Ryan, being 21 at the time, received his share right away. He used that money for a down payment on a condo, and he also got his mom's car. The will also spelled out that Emily was to inherit all of her mother's jewelry. Among those pieces was a vintage gold ring, thick band, 18 karat by later estimate, with a diamond in the center and a light blue sapphire on each side. It was an heirloom, handed down for generations. It started as my wife's grandmother's wedding band. Her grandfather was a jeweler who made it himself for her, and when the grandmother passed, the ring went to my wife's mother, and then to my wife when her mother died. Every piece of my wife's jewelry was meant for Emily, and that ring especially was supposed to stay in the family. When my wife died, the grief about buried me, but I kept moving for my kids, and they were there for me too. So what Ryan did felt like getting stabbed with a rusty knife. For the last 8 months, he's been dating Madison. She's got him wrapped around her finger and is big on jewelry, always decked out. One day, Ryan mentioned the family pieces that were earmarked for his sister, and Madison wanted to see them. So he went into my room while nobody was home and showed them off. He later told me he'd done it. I was mad, but I figured that was the end of it. I was wrong. A week ago, Ryan came to me and begged for that heirloom ring, his mother's family ring, because he wanted to propose. He said Madison fell in love with it the moment she saw it, and he knew it was the one for popping the question. He looked at me like I was supposed to be thrilled. Instead, I told him it wasn't mine to give. The ring belongs to Emily. I also said I wouldn't allow him to pressure her. To be fair, I offered one shot. He could calmly explain his reasons to Emily once, just once. And if she said no for any reason, that was it. Ryan agreed and asked her right in front of me. Emily said no without hesitation. She wants to keep it in the family, and she's adored that ring for years. To her, it's priceless. I told Ryan that was the end of the conversation and not to bring it up again. He left unhappy, and I assumed he'd start hunting for something similar. Instead, he came over another day when I was at work and tried to talk Emily into it when she got home from school. It blew up into a big argument, and Emily called me crying. I phoned Ryan and told him to get out of my house and leave his sister alone. He yelled that he had as much right to the ring as Emily because their mom was his mother too. I reminded him that he already received a significant inheritance, cash and the car, and the jewelry was specifically willed to Emily. He hung up, and Emily texted me that he'd left, very angry. Later, right before I clocked out, Emily called again. Ryan had come back in a suit, walked into my room, grabbed something, and left without a word. She tried to stop him, but he shoved her aside. I sped home and checked my wife's jewelry box. The ring was gone. I called Ryan. No answer, so I texted that I'd involve the police if he didn't return it. I told him a proposal wouldn't stop me from taking back stolen property. That finally got him on the phone. He said I couldn't do that because he was my son. I said being my son doesn't give him a pass to steal, and he needed to bring the ring back immediately or I'd escalate. He called me again a minute later, whispering that it was too late. He'd taken Madison to dinner and proposed. He hadn't even had the ring for an hour, and it was already on her finger. I told him that was his problem. He stole it. He could return it. If I had to make it a legal matter, I would. I'd file a police report and hire a lawyer if it came to that. Ryan started crying and saying I couldn't do this to him. I said the ring belongs to his sister and to his late mother's wishes, and that's where the respect needs to go. I gave him until morning to bring it back, or I'd move forward. Ryan showed up the next morning with Madison, trying to guilt trip us. She knew he stole it and wanted to keep it anyway because she'd been fixated on it since the moment she saw it. I told her bluntly the original doesn't belong to her. If she wants the look, a jeweler could make a replica. Ryan begged one more time, but Emily and I stood firm. Return the ring or we go to the cops and maybe even file a lawsuit. Madison yanked it off, dropped it into Emily's hands, called me an evil bastard, and stormed out in tears. Ryan yelled that I might have wrecked his relationship. I told him he did that himself by stealing from his sister and dishonoring his mother's memory. He had nothing else to say and chased after Madison. I kept the matter private. Ryan didn't. He went looking for support from friends and family and got the opposite. My phone lit up with calls and messages offering sympathy and saying Ryan was in the wrong. I tried to cool things down, but the cat was out of the bag. A week passed and Ryan refused to talk to me. I sent him detailed photos of the ring so he could get a jeweler to make a copy, but a proper replica would be pricey unless he used fake stones. He didn't respond. I don't know where things stand with Madison, whether she's still his girlfriend, but I stand by getting the ring back. I moved all my wife's jewelry into a safe deposit box only I can access. It'll stay there until Emily turns 21, maybe longer if she prefers the security. I know reclaiming the ring was right. I don't want my son to hate me, and I don't want the family to hate him either. If anyone's got advice on how to mediate this without giving away the ring or spending a fortune, I'm listening. Update. My son stole his late mother's ring for his girlfriend and now blames me for the fallout. Madison officially broke up with him and he's devastated, pointing the finger at me. Folks said I gave him too much credit calling him a good kid. He used to be. The guy I'm seeing now? I don't recognize him. Whether this was always in him or he got pulled off course by the wrong person, it doesn't excuse what he did. After I made them return the ring, Madison cried for days, then told Ryan she didn't want a different ring, no matter what he offered. She wanted my wife's ring, the one that had already sat on her finger for a few hours, and said nothing else would do. The last time I saw someone melt down that hard over giving back something they stole, they were 4. People even said she was being a big baby about it. None of this stayed private because Ryan blasted it out looking for support, and it backfired. Local drama lovers grabbed on like barnacles and kept feeding me updates even though I didn't ask. Ryan took the photos I sent and went to a jeweler. The jeweler said he could do something similar but wanted to examine the original to take proper measurements and evaluate the stones and metal for a close copy. Ryan stalled, then swallowed his pride and called me. Madison was at least open to a copy, but only an exact copy. They asked me to meet at a local jeweler so we could get a real quote. I pulled the ring from the safe deposit box, kept it in my pocket, and met them. Madison's eyes lit up the second she saw it. She asked to try it on just one more time, and pouted when I told her no. I wasn't risking a snatch and run. The jeweler studied it and said it was worth more than we thought. He dated the craftsmanship to the 1940s. Expert work, thick gold band likely 18K, diamond and sapphires of decent size, stones set in platinum, and ornate floral carving all around. The labor to recreate it would be extensive because it would have to be made by hand. The stones alone to match it were beyond Ryan's current budget, never mind the antique value. A faithful duplicate would cost about 5 times what Ryan had saved. He could make a down payment and carry debt for years, but that was the reality. Madison still wanted him to move forward, but the cost was a wall. So the jeweler suggested a look-alike, similar style, more affordable metals, a center stone that resembled diamond, platinum swapped for another white metal, or even a modern ring with the same vibe that was already in the case. He showed 3 options, diamond center with sapphire accents, at reasonable prices. Ryan was open to the practical route until Madison slapped him and called him a cheap, broke-ass wannabe. Then she whirled on me and called me an evil bastard again, insisting the original should still be hers because Ryan proposed with it. She demanded I put it back on her finger and claimed Emily wouldn't need it. It would go to waste with her because some guy could just buy Emily a ring someday. That pushed every button I have. I told her flatly that my wife's family ring would never be hers. It wasn't Ryan's to give. He knew it. That's why he stole it while I wasn't home. He gambled that using it would stop me from taking it back. He gambled wrong. Then I told her this kind of entitlement, wanting anything you see and throwing a fit when you don't get it, is exactly what's broken out there. She has lusted after that ring since day one. She cocked her hand back to slap me, saw my face, and thought better of it. Instead, she stormed out, making loud, garbled tantrum sounds and knocking over a counter display. Ryan glared at me with pure rage. I asked him why he was with someone like that. He said he loved her and followed her out. To be fair, she's beautiful, but it's skin deep. Madison iced him out for a bit, then dumped him. She said he didn't value her enough to buy the ring she deserved, and she couldn't handle having a miser like me for a father-in-law. She cried that people think she's a gold digger now. Honestly, I don't think they're wrong. She slapped my son for suggesting a cheaper option and had a full-blown meltdown when I wouldn't hand over a stolen heirloom. That's classic gold-digging behavior. And I can't help but wonder, if some wealthy guy had shown up, would she have stuck with Ryan? Doesn't seem likely. It felt like she wanted the ring more than the relationship. Right after the breakup, Ryan tried to get into my house again while I was at work. I don't know why. If I had to guess, he might have thought the jewelry was still there or he was after the emergency cash in my safe. I hate thinking that, but he'd already crossed a line. I'd changed the locks after the first theft. Someone here suggested it. And I'm looking at cameras too. Emily called me while he was banging on the front door, terrified. I called Ryan. He didn't answer, but he left as soon as he heard my special ringtone on Emily's phone. Later he called to yell, and I cut in. Why was he trying to get into my house? He dodged, yelled about me changing the locks, and said if his mom were alive, she'd have wanted him to propose with that ring. I saw red. If that had been her wish, she would have put it in the will for him. She didn't. He sulked and blamed me for everything. Also parroted Madison's miser line. I asked him to name a single negative thing I'd said about Madison before the ring incident. He couldn't, because I barely knew her. Then I told him directly. If he was after the ring or any of the jewelry, it's moved to a secure location only I can access. If it was the cash in my safe, he wasn't getting it. And if he ever laid a hand on his sister again, he'd answer to me. He went quiet, then said he was selling the condo, asking for a transfer at work, and moving far away. Have a nice life with your favorite child, he said. I don't know how my son flipped like this in a year. I never once called Madison a manipulative gold digger until after her performance at the jeweler, but that's what she is. And now, because of all this, my son is cutting off his family. I'm angry and heartbroken that he'd do all this for someone he only dated 8 months. That's not a long courtship. I dated my wife for over 2 years before I proposed. I shudder to think what life would have been if that woman had married my son. He'll probably blame me for a long time. I hope we speak again one day, but right now we need space. Emily's thankful I got the ring back, but she's shaken and calls him a brute for shoving her, and a simp, which, yeah, I had to Google. Thankfully, she's got a strong support system with me and the rest of the family. Ryan doesn't. Multiple family members told him off. His best friend from childhood even came by to apologize to me. They fought about what Ryan did, and when his friend didn't take his side, Ryan cut him off too. Madison caught heat at home as well. Her parents reached out to hear my side, apologized for her behavior, and said they're disappointed. They were covering half her rent, but told her they won't renew the arrangement when her lease ends. She can pay her own way or move. Now she's running around saying this is all my fault. What is it with people lately? It's like the entitled mindset went viral. When I was Ryan's age, you met a person like that once in a blue moon. Now I'm seeing a couple every year, even at the grocery store. The world doesn't need more of that. I just want my son to get his head on straight and find happiness again, even if he never speaks to me. Update 2. Madison was obsessed with the ring. Please stop asking me for pictures. Emily knows about this account and is proud I stood firm, but she doesn't want photos of her ring online. Her call, and I respect it. I also don't want strangers copying it. I was willing to let Ryan make a family replica. I'm not crowdsourcing it for the internet. I deleted the pictures I sent Ryan. The ring's in a bank vault for now. Not forever. I plan to buy a better home safe. But for the moment, that's where it stays. In the weeks after my first post, I installed cameras. Good thing I did. No, Ryan and Madison did not get back together. Ryan really is selling his condo, and he hasn't spoken to me since the favorite child comment. I met with my lawyer and updated my will. I didn't disinherit Ryan, but he lost a lot of what he would have received if things had stayed normal. After some thinking, I realized I can't keep feeling bad for him while he keeps doing harmful things. Emily calling him a simp turned out to be pretty accurate. I'm trying to let go of the anger and sadness. They're not helping me. I ran into Madison at the mall. She saw me with a buddy and started booing and calling me a greedy miser in front of everyone. I didn't have to say a word. My friend laughed and called her a thief and a gold-digging you-know-what who only wanted my late wife's ring. Half the crowd turned to stare. Madison flipped us off, stormed away, and knocked into a small child, who burst into tears. When she realized what she did, she ran. My friend and I helped the very pregnant mom calm the kid, and thankfully the child was okay. Later, Madison showed up at my house to scream that it's my fault her friends now call her a gold digger and won't hang out with her. I told her she earned that label. She never had any right to my wife's ring, cried for days about it, and dumped my son because he couldn't afford the exact copy she wanted. That's Gold Digger 101. I told her I'd make sure she never saw the original again. She shouted more nonsense and stomped back to her car. For anyone thinking drugs were behind the personality changes, no? Madison was arrested last week for trying to break into my house. The cameras caught her sneaking into the backyard with an axe. She tried to smash the back door. That tripped the alarm. She ran, but the cameras got her face and her car. She even left the axe with her prints on it. Police came, later found her at her apartment, and intended to arrest her for trespass and property damage. She went off on them and had to be pinned down and marched out. Her parents called me after and offered to pay for the door. They said the station screened her for substances. She was clean. So it wasn't drugs. She was found to be mentally unwell. They're moving her out of town once the legal stuff is sorted, and I do honestly hope she gets help. A coworker of Ryan's reached out and said he's still very angry, insisting the ring would have been a small price for his happiness. Now that Madison's gone, he's blaming her too. Says she's the gold-digging crazy who ruined his life. It's always someone else. Until he owns his part, I don't see how we repair things. Maybe time alone will help him reflect. Mini update. Knock it off with the trolling. Most folks have been supportive. A handful have DM'd me calling me everything from a bad father to a psycho. Not one of them has offered a practical idea to fix things, just name-calling. If you truly think I could have handled it better, lay out a plan instead of throwing stones. Here's the recap. Ryan showed Madison the family jewelry without my permission. I gave him a single, pressure-free shot to ask Emily for the ring. She said no. That should have ended it. Ryan stole the ring and shoved his sister. Madison had it on her finger within an hour. I was painted as the villain for demanding the return of a stolen heirloom specifically willed to Emily. I offered to help them explore a replica. Madison threw a tantrum because it wasn't the original or an exact handcrafted twin. Ryan tried to get back into my house afterward. Madison tried to humiliate me in public and knocked over a kid. She later attacked my back door with an axe and got arrested. Ryan keeps blaming everyone but himself and has found basically zero real-life support. Yes, I changed the locks. That's what you do after a theft, even if it's your own son. No, I didn't escalate. They did. And just for context, when my wife died, Ryan inherited over 50 grand and her car. Emily got the jewelry. That's fair. I helped with Ryan's college and will cover the same, adjusted for inflation, for Emily. I don't play favorites. Sometimes people just go bad lanes, and there's only so much you can do. A reasonable person suggested Ryan doubled down because his pride won't let him admit he's wrong, and he wants a fresh start where no one knows him. I can understand the impulse. But he dug this hole. Meanwhile, I've got relatives and acquaintances messaging me constantly, and Emily's scared her brother might come back and hurt her. I'm getting her into therapy, and I've upgraded the house security, with cameras that already prove their worth. I tried to talk it out. I tried to help without enabling. He slapped my hand away. Final update. My son left town. The drama didn't stop. Ryan sold his condo. No idea the final number. Maybe even a profit. Last Saturday, he stuffed what he could into his car and left. Word travels fast here. He nearly got into a fight at a bar when somebody called him out in public. I tried one more time to see him before he left, hoping we could mend fences. He wouldn't open the door. He talked through it, saying I ruined his life, circled back to the ring, said I should have let Madison keep it and should have helped pay for a copy. Then he said it didn't matter. Madison was confirmed crazy, and he's done with me and Emily. I lost it a bit and told him the truth. He assaulted his sister while stealing the ring. He should be grateful I didn't have him arrested. Everybody who knows the facts disagrees with him. That should tell him something. I told him to drop the Pride Act. Maybe he rushed into this because he misses his mom, or because he's now the age I was when he was born, I don't know. But he knew it was wrong and won't admit it. I'm tired of being his scapegoat. That's narcissist coward territory. His mom and I raised him better, and she would not have approved of any of this. You don't steal, then blame the victim for wanting their property back. There was a pause. Then he said, F*** you dad. And I could hear him crying and hitting things. A neighbor cracked her door to watch. I left, and as I walked out, a police cruiser rolled up. 2 officers asked my name. Someone had reported a break-in attempt. I explained we'd argued through the door, and I never tried to force entry. I pointed out the neighbor who'd watched and mentioned the hallway CCTV. One officer went inside while the other cuffed me, politely, until they verified. After a bit, the radio crackled. Multiple neighbors confirmed my story, and the officer was checking CCTV. Eventually, he radioed back to uncuff me. The footage showed I never tried the door beyond knocking. When the officers regrouped, they asked if I was the dad whose son stole his late mother's ring. I said yes and asked how they knew. They said they'd heard it around the station and put 2 and 2 together. One of them had been there when Madison was arrested, said she acted like a wild animal, tried to bite, and threw out every thread in the book. I just stood there, embarrassed. They told me to head home and not come back. I nodded and left. Later, neighbors messaged me that the officers gave Ryan a serious chewing out for wasting police time, had him in tears, and even brought up the ring incident. He'd apparently exaggerated what was happening when he called 911. I got home, and Emily told me I'd done what I could, that this isn't my fault. Still hurt like hell. I might have lost my son for good. I took a day off, holed up in my home office, played Dragon Warrior 1 on a NES emulator, and ate vanilla ice cream just to decompress. Ryan left town over the weekend. Maybe I'll never see him again. But if he showed up tomorrow wanting to talk, I'd open my door. I'm his dad. That doesn't turn off. I just hope it doesn't take decades. For anyone wondering how fast this spread, our city isn't tiny, but my wife's extended family is enormous and tight-knit. They're everywhere, and a lot of them love gossip. When Ryan went looking online for backup, they saw it, told him off, then told everyone they knew. I begged folks to take down posts, and many did, but the damage was done. Madison told her circles too, which doubled the mess. Both of them lost friends over it. People I don't even know somehow got my contact info and messaged me. Now that Ryan's gone, it's finally cooling down. As for the guy who called Ryan out at the bar, I heard he's a neighbor of one of Ryan's former friends, so it tracks he knew what Ryan looked like. And yes, I like old video games. I keep ROMs on my PC and play once or twice a year, usually with cheat codes because I'm lousy at them. My kids don't care for the classics. My wife never did either. That was my little escape hatch. Mini update. Was my son a gold digger too? I didn't expect to post again, but someone with a burner account DM'd me with extra details. They claim to be close to Madison and say her parents are wealthy. According to them, Ryan stayed with Madison despite the crazy and the abuse because he saw the money. They say he wanted a ring that would impress her family, hoping to marry into wealth. I don't know if it's true, but it would explain a lot. They also said Madison is the black sheep, a spoiled brat sent here to work and learn some real-life lessons. She supposedly figured marriage would win her way back into her parents' good graces. She only started dating Ryan because he had a condo. So maybe it was a two-way gold-digging situation. Ryan chasing wealth and Madison chasing the optics of a marriage. I can barely wrap my head around it. Could be a troll. Could be the missing puzzle piece. Either way, it leaves me with more questions about my son than answers. Emily believes it. She says Ryan's head turned toward money after he got his inheritance. I told her I need another retro gaming day and a tub of ice cream. She suggested cherry instead of vanilla, some joke I don't get, but she's right that I need a break. I wish I could take a beach trip, but I don't have the time yet. Maybe in spring. I truly hope this is the last thing I have to say about it. Christmas is coming, and it'll be my first without my son in over 20 years, and without my wife too. It'll just be me and Emily this year. Thankfully, my wife's big extended family is wrapping us in support, and we'll see them on Christmas Eve.